But first, a Vermont judge sparked outrage in his courtroom today when sentencing a convicted child rapist to only 60 days in jail. Now, prosecutors argued that the confessed rapist, 34-year-old Mark Hullett, deserves at least 8 years behind bars. And prosecutors say that Hullett raped a young girl countless times over 4 years, beginning when this victim was only 7 years old. But Vermont Judge Edward Cashman says he no longer believes in punishment for convicted rapists, and that he is more concerned about rehabilitation for felons. Joining us now, former prosecutor Anne Bremner and criminal defense attorney Brian Neary. Brian, don't tell me you're going to defend this, because I'm going to get very angry very fast. This girl was 7 years old, was raped repeatedly over a 4-year period of time. This man tried to rob her soul. Please don't defend this.
Sean, this judge decided to take on a very complicated situation.
What's complicated about it? He admitted to raping a 7-year-old girl. What's complicated about it?
If it's that simple and you throw away the key and you get rid of him, then I agree with you. But what I think this judge tried to do was to deal with the realities, not only of punishment. I'll agree, 60 days seems like a terribly small amount. But what he really tried to do was grapple with the issue of how do you handle sex offenders who may very well need treatment.
Brian, he raped a 7-year-old girl. If this guy moved in next to your house after only serving 60 days in prison, how angry would you be as a parent?
I'd be angry, but I'd also be concerned that the system would have taken care of that the problem would not happen again. This is what this is all about, Sean. This judge decided to get into a battle with the corrections officials.
The judge
about
has no right
treatment.
to use the system for his own agenda. This is what we conservatives, Anne Bremner, talk about when we talk about activist judges legislating from the bench. It's got to be a natural sort of outcrop or consequence to conjugal visits, law libraries, weight rooms so these prisoners can bulk up and beat up the guards. This seems like a logical conclusion to that, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but the thing is, he says, Judge Cashman says, I no longer believe in punishment. And I thought to myself, what does he believe in? The Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus? He is a reactionary. There's a quote that, judges can be very reactionary. That can be the judiciary. And in a case like this, he says he doesn't believe in punishment. And so that means, does he not believe in punishment if the offender kills his victim?
Well,
that's part of the equation when you use your discretion. And he's just not going to exercise it. He has a constant. And he believes every time there's not going to be any punishment. And that's outrageous.
I want this judge impeached. This judge needs to be removed from his office. Brian Neary, society is not served by releasing such a person.
The issue here is the correction department. The fact is that the correction department, you can't go to jail and get therapy at the same time. The judge objects to that. However, how is he more of a danger to society? Because the judge has a beef with corrections, this guy goes free, and is a danger. Is he not a danger on the street?
I think he's got to be, definitely he's got to be recognized as a danger. And if you take
how can you support letting him out for or putting him in for 60 days when he raped this girl repeatedly over 4 years?
There's two things. One thing is that the same corrections department says that he is a low risk for reoffense.
Oh, wait a second. How is that? You believe that? You believe this guy's a low risk for reoffense?
I can only rely on what they might have done in terms of testing. But this judge clearly was thoughtful with regard to this. This was not a 10-minute test.
Anne Bremner, why would they say that? In fact, they did say that in the case, low risk for reoffense.
Right.
Why?
A low risk for reoffense isn't the best predictor is past acts.
But why would they say that? Why would the corrections department even make that statement?
How do they know? How do they know? I mean, once a pedophile, always a pedophile. And here's somebody, it's as constant as the rain in Seattle, that people reoffend, pedophiles reoffend, and that's why they have to go to jail.
If this happened, Brian, to somebody in your family, God forbid, some little girl, 4 years running, and the girl is now 10 years old, this started when she was 7, and the guy got 60 days. You'd be outraged.
As a parent with a daughter, I would be shocked and I would be outraged and I would be as vehement as you are right now, Sean. But the problem is more complicated than just the way that somebody feels.
What's complicated? You're talking about a crime that you know was committed.
He admitted it.
The guy showed no remorse. The guy actually said, in the court, he said, I feel bad I lost a friend, was his only statement. He showed no empathy.
Jeez.
This is the way he reacted when this happened in court.
I suspect that this judge thinks that this might be some sort of a test to make sure that this corrections department
At what expense?
takes care. Well,
at what expense?
The personal the personal feeling of these poor families. And he acknowledged, this judge
You want to take
acknowledged-
that risk and put this guy on the street to make a statement to the corrections department?
I think that this judge is trying to say, as much pain as these poor people felt, that he hopes that other people will not feel pain, not just from this
Anne
guy,
Bremner, let me give
but
you
other
a chance
people.
to respond to that.
Well, I think that the problem with this judge is he says he'll never give out punishment. And that's his big problem. And he shouldn't be a judge. If he thinks he's up in Vermont and not being noticed by America, he's wrong right now. And I think that to say, oh, we don't want to cause pain to him, wait a minute. You've got to protect children. You know, he stands between the past and the future, not just for this girl,
and
but
if
for
something
all children that
happens,
could be a victim of this man.
he ought to be held accountable, Ann. If something happens to another child is raped,
Right.
and I'll tell you what, we're not going to
And
let.
he won't be.
We are not going to let this go. This judge
Good.
needs to be impeached. This is outrageous. And Brian,
Agreed.
I hope, Sean, I hope that his action is able to prevent this from happening with somebody else.
if it
they
happens
get
again,
treatment.
I blame
If they get
him.
treatment.
I don't blame the rapist. I will blame him if anything happens.
For this person,
I will
yes.
blame the judge.
But for other people who might get treatment, he may have done something
The
courageous.
recidivism rate is astronomical for these child molesters. This is outrageous. We'll follow the story tomorrow, and we'll have more for you. And thanks for being with us. And coming up, this